Hey everyone, still in lesson 2, still in level 8. We are choosing our own adventure by practicing these string methods and the index of and substring. I really like this part C, the story writing. Let me show you how this works so you can see what's happening. In in the app, if you take a gander at the code, this parts of speech text, there are 6,000, over 6,000 like parts of speech and words separated by a colon. Now, just remember the whole purpose of these tasks are to get you to work with string methods and kind of pull out either we'll pull out the parts of speech or we'll pull out the word, kind of finding what the index is of the colon. But bunch, there is a bunch of data. Look at that. There is 6,859. And so I was able to do this, just sat down first time through, and it actually runs. And I picked out all of the nouns from this list. I wish I would have printed out how many there were, but I didn't do that. But I will walk you through this. This is just traversing a regular old um, 1D array, so it's not a big deal. So let me reset my version history. I'm kind of nervous about this because it ran, but we will work through this together and hash this out. So what I want to do is I want to do in the novel class, I want to return a string containing the words that are a specific part of speech. So if I go down here to the get words for part, um, I will pass it a part of speech to find, and it's going to want to print all of those words. So probably what I will need to do is I need to create like a string object, and I will call it output. That is an empty string to start with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate things to this empty string, and this is eventually what we will return. And so I want to traverse this 1D array, this parts of speech list that has over 6,800 things in it. Now it is called a parts of speech. So I'm going to snag that puppy and I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go for int I equals 0. I is less than the parts of speech dot length. And I want to increment I every time. And I think um, what I might do, I mean, I could kind of say, hey, here's the current thing, and that might save me from doing parts of speech I, but I'll leave it like that. So what I want to do is I want to check if, for example, I'm going to pass it a part of speech. So for example, over here, um, that is the text itself. When I initialize it, and I guess I will, how about if I do this right now? I will go story dot get words for part. What I would do is I would pass it something like noun. And then what I would want to do is I would want to go through this list of stuff and figure out, okay, which one has noun to start with. And so what I need to do is I need to figure out what the index of a colon is. And the index of the colon will tell me like where to cut off the first part and where to kind of the word starts. So let's go back here. And so I'm going through that entire list. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go int colon, not color, colon equals parts of speech I dot index of, and I want to know the index of the colon, not the semicolon, of the colon. That's what I want to do. And then what I want to do is if the parts of speech at that index I, if the substring starting at 0 and going up to but not including the colon, if that is equal to this thing that they pass in, part defined, if that is equal to part defined, what I want to do is I want to take my output and I want to add on. Now, what do I want to add on? What I want to add on is the parts of speech at index I dot substring, and I want to go not from the colon, but I want to go from one more path. Oop, I did the wrong parenthesis. I want to go colon plus 1, and that's going to take me to the end of that string. And again, I could have, instead of going output, what I could have done, and I probably should start doing this and getting in this habit, but I could have just done this. I could have done plus equals, because you might see that too, especially in the multiple choice part of things. So if everything in that parts of speech, if the substring at the start up to the colon, it is the same as, I cannot use equal equal. I have to use dot equals. If you remember, that's our string method. We can't just use equal equal to see if it's equal to a string. So if the parts of speech at index I, that substring at the beginning up to the colon, but not including the colon, if it equals that part of speech defined, that part defined, like I'm going to choose noun, then I want to take the output and I want to add on that part of speech dot I, that part of speech at the index I, that substring from just past the colon to the end. And then I also want to add on this, the escape sequence, \n. And then what I want to return is I just want to return the output. And I think this is going to work. So that curly brace goes with the if statement, and this curly brace goes with the for loop. So I'm thinking it's pretty good. So let's go here to the novel runner. I've already got that get words for part with a noun in there. I need to print it out. So I'm going to go system.out.println, and then I'll tag that puppy over yonder. Oh, help buzz outside of it. There you go. So let's run this and see what happens. Unless I made a spelling error. Oh, it's looking good. Look. Oh. Up. I spelled substring as subtring. Of course. Of course. Substring. Let's try this again. There it goes. I would really, you know what? Well, I tell you what. I wonder if I could just. I wonder if I could print it out. I wanted to count how many. I would like to count how many nouns there are, but I don't want to return it. I guess I want to count it out in the method itself, but I won't mess with that now. Let's change this to adjective, and let's see what happens. Ooh, zestfully, zealously, youthfully, young, yieldingly, yellow. So let's give it the test and see what happens on the test. Yes, let's rock on, kids. These are good. Good practice. I know it's uh, trying to take parts of strings and move them around. So keep plugging away, kids.